Do you regret ever getting involved in I didn't have a choice? It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, "We're getting a divorce. You still have to go do this." I had to go show off all the stuff my whole life that was going to be taken away from me. New horrific allegations have come out about what Diddy did to Aaron Carter, and this has seemingly led to Diddy's legal team becoming even more sure that their client is going to lose. They all partied with Diddy. It's hard for me to truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick's brother, Aaron Carter, right? A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for security. It is said that Aaron died from drowning in his bathtub back in 2022, but many are skeptical. How could a person possibly drown in their own bathtub? The thing is, there are rumors that Aaron Carter was about to bite the bullet and expose Diddy's freak-offs 3 years ago, but he was taken out before he could do that. We will talk more about that later now, though. Reckoning has come for Diddy with new people taking the stand and talking about his alleged crimes the first week of the testimony in the sex trial against Sean Combs ended with a former member of one of Combs's musical groups on the witness stand. Dawn Richard says that she saw Combs attack Cassie Ventura. In 2009, Richard is suing Combs in federal court accusing him of sexual assault and battery. She'll be back on the witness stand on Monday. Richard's civil case as a lawsuit is still pending. Does that impact how these attorneys approach her if they try to color this as some way of I guess, supporting her civil case? How does that difference impact the approach to these witnesses? I think that can be argued either way. For instance, where the fact that Miss Venture's case, her civil case is already settled and the money's already been received to me, that doesn't count against her. Perhaps it counts to her credibility because she chose to participate in the criminal trial anyway. However, where Miss Rashard is concerned, the fact that she is participating when frankly a criminal conviction may harm her ability to recover. It may harm you, Mr. Combs' ability to have the money to pay for any recovery. So there are risks either way. I just think that people need to remember that trials involve people, and people are messy, so you don't have any purity tests when your witness is on the stand and has never done anything wrong, or your defendant is on the stand and has never done anything right. There's a lot going on both sides, and it really is up to the jury to figure it out as long as they are given the right facts and the right instructions from the judge. Diddy is being hit with some serious accusations. The government says he ran a secret system that was doing illegal things like moving people from one state to another, hiding money, using his fame and power for bad ends, and hitting his ex. Now the whole country is watching, and in just 1 week we've seen terrible things come to light. Diddy's employees came forward, and Don Richards and Cassie's best friend also took the stand. Don Richards said that over the past year and a half, she has met with government prosecutors 8 times, and during those 8 meetings, she has changed her story at least 4 times about multiple incidents. Rashard admitted that her story has changed, saying that it was really just about her memory and that she tried to block all of these things out. She has been trying to remember, and all of these meetings with prosecutors have helped her, but it was not good for her that her story has changed so many times. They also doubled down on the fact that she has filed her own civil suit seeking money from Combs. Chloe, we know that Cassie Vento's former best friend is also testifying today. What has she said so far? Her name is Carrie Gordon. Last week, when Cassie Ventura was on the stand, she talked a lot about a friend who saw a lot of the abuse and was someone she could trust. Miss Gordon has already been on the stand for a few hours, but they are on a lunch break right now. She is expected to come back this afternoon and said, "Look, I don't really even want to be here. I was given a subpoena, so I have to be here to testify. I haven't talked to Combs or Miss Ventura since 2018, and that's because Combs attacked me. The FBI showed what they found in his homes. Attorneys are countering aggressively breaking news. The Department of Homeland Security has just confirmed to CNN that federal law enforcement agents have raided properties owned by musician and producer Sean Diddy Combs. Let's bring in CNN security correspondent Josh Campbell and CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson. Josh, let me start with you. What do these raids by federal agents in multiple locations tell you about the seriousness of this investigation? Yeah, Wolf, a very significant development here. Seeing this law enforcement action taking place, I'll point out just to be clear at the outset, we don't know that Sean Diddy Combs himself is the subject or target of a federal investigation. So it's just worth pointing that out at this hour. But what we do know is that two properties associated with him, we saw the feds descend on those properties. We saw in aerial footage, federal agents, both here in the Los Angeles area, as well as in Miami at those residences. Now the Department of Homeland Security there, what's called HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, gave CNN a statement. I'll read you part of that when asked about what this activity is. They say that earlier today, HSI New York executed law enforcement actions as part of an ongoing investigation with assistance from HSI Los Angeles, HSI Miami, and our local law enforcement partners. That is it confirming that they are conducting what they're deeming law enforcement action, which could indicate search warrants being conducted there, could indicate arrests being conducted. We just don't know at this hour specifically what that law enforcement action is. It is worth pointing out, though, that Combs himself obviously has faced significant legal woes. In recent months, I'll give you just a kind of the highlights of what actually occurred. In November, he was sued for abuse by a former partner, and the lawsuit was settled very quickly. In December, however, he was accused of sexual assault in a complaint filed in the Southern District of New York. A woman named Jane Doe, who said she was 17 at the time of the allegations, brought the suit. Happened in 2003. This trial isn't just about one person. It's also about how power and money can be used in bad ways. The government says that Diddy didn't act alone. They think he led a group of people who helped him do illegal things like trafficking drugs, moving people without their permission, and hiding money. The case got even more serious when federal agents raided Diddy's homes in Miami and Los Angeles and took hard drives, computers, cash, and even secret files. This is a big case. The FBI, IRS, and Homeland Security are all involved in what the feds found. We also learned the charges against Diddy: racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud or coercion, and transportation to engage in prosecution. Diddy has pleaded not guilty and denies these charges, but this indictment. This original indictment, which has since been superseded by a few others that added a few charges here and there, is where we learned about what was collected, including all that lube and baby oil. All of this takes us back to the freak-offs and the civil cases that came before the federal search warrants and then the indictment. So Cassie, I know I talk about Cassie all the time, but we wouldn't be here if it weren't for her. Cassie's lawsuit was the first time we heard about freak-offs. We heard about them again from Lil Rod, and we've seen them in a lot of different civil suits and in the federal indictment. Here's how the feds explain freak-offs. Freak-offs were big events where people had sex and Combs arranged, directed, and mated during the performances, which were often recorded electronically. The feds said that controlled substances were used during these freak-offs to keep the victims obedient and compliant. They also said that recording devices were used during these freak-off situations. Sometimes the people involved in the freak-offs didn't know they were being recorded, and other times Diddy and his team would use these recordings as revenge porn and say, "Hey, if you come forward and report this to anyone, we've got this really embarrassing video. Why would you do that?" So that's another claim. The feds also say that IV fluids were used in all of this because the people involved in the freak-offs needed to recover from drug use and physical activity. These aren't just old rumors. The charges are now in court with real lawyers, judges, and witnesses, and some of those witnesses are starting to talk. One shocking thing that happened in week one was when the name Aaron Carter came up in court. Aaron Carter was a singer who died in 2022. Before he died, he complained about problems in the music industry and tweeted,